I'm trying to hit up different folks that have done great things over the years. And in your case, I want to start all the way back because we're right around that 20th anniversary of your graduation.
Yeah, man,
And
that's right. It's right around the corner.
I, like when I hit mine, I didn't really start connecting dots. Has that even started entering your mind at all? That it's been 20 years since you finished high school?
Man, I'm trying to remember. I think I was talking to maybe Brooks Holder about it or somebody, and they started a group on Facebook to try to plan the 20-year reunion. And I was like, man, I remember the 10-year reunion like it was yesterday. And I was like, now we're gonna do 20. And then I'm thinking about all the people, like after 10 years, not a lot of people change. Maybe a few people gained a little weight here or there, but pretty much we sort of look the same like we did in high school. And I think now a few of us, we got a few grays and stuff like that. So we probably,
Yeah. Back when you didn't have gray hair, it wasn't just basketball in your life. I don't think people realize you had a bunch of things going on. Talk about some of the different things you did in school that weren't basketball that made a lasting impact on your life.
man, I remember being a part of the Partners Club. In the Partners Club, we would always go, and with special needs kids and things like that. I remember being doing like the youth apprenticeship stuff, and I did that with Curry Realtors. That was something amazing for me to ride through Lawrence and Bleckley County and see all the properties and stuff like that and all the stuff that was available. It's like some of the areas that I never, gave me a great appreciation more for the countryside and how much space we got down in Georgia. Being on the track, with the track team, that was a good camaraderie right there. With Coach Hudson and all those guys, those bus rides and and all the jokes with him and now the superintendent, Dr. Williams is the
Yes,
superintendent now. You know, those guys are football coaches and they'd always joke with me about not playing football and stuff like that. But
still joke, still
you
joke.
know, and then being in the marching band, like I just
Yeah.
remember going, the band and going to competitions, and then the year that we switched over and we'd go and play those Augusta teams, and they had the bands that did the boogie down dances. That was definitely fun. Those football Friday nights. You know how that is in Dublin. Said even to move over into that Augusta region, which I
Right.
think I think in that time it was more considered a basketball region. Augusta in those days. I still sort of go. I go over in Augusta in the summers, and I'll play sometimes. I'll just go to random gyms and play, and I'll always run. That's something I like to do a lot of times is go to gyms where nobody know me and just go in and play. And then it's always it's I always run into like one guy that'll be like, we'll start to talk, and I might say something about Dublin. And they'll be like, man, they had this one guy, or when they came to play against Josie, and there was two guys, they was talking trash to the crowd after the game, and the police had to escort them out. I was like, man, that's crazy. I was one of those guys, you know.
You started talking about some of the guys you run into whenever you're overseas and all, and then you also talked about being in Augusta and almost pulling an Uncle Drew on some folks where you slide in and it's like, yeah, it's the man up, Paul. I mean, it's all right. But I wanted to segue in to probably one of the bigger honors that you received last year when you were inducted into the Wagner Hall of Fame. Has that even still settled into your brain that you're a Hall of Famer now? Does that register with you still?
You know, Coach used to say it all the time. You talk about like Coach Wittenberg. He used to tell us all the time, he was tell us his sentence was losing. No, he said winning breeds character and losing exposes character. In that first year there, when we would lose, we had a streak one time we lost 5 or 6 games in a row. And I just remember him, asking, how do we want to be remembered? We just and with sports, in the beginning, we started to play for fun. Then we grow a love for it. Then it becomes competitive, and then you start to people say, what's your legacy? What did you do? What did you accomplish in sport? It sort of grows. And then when I started to look back on it before I went there, and I'm thinking about, I'm going, I got my wife, I got my kids, and it's a moment that something that they will, you know what I mean? I think that experience for them. I don't think my son, maybe he won't remember as much as my daughter, but she still look at pictures now and she'll be like, "Oh, Daddy, this was New York when you got to do your speech," and it's still sort of surreal about it, like you say, okay, man, I made it to to this athletic Hall of Fame there. It was never the goal. You know what I mean? You wanted to be the best, of
Yeah,
course.
you
You
want
had
to
all,
play. I mean, I know you
yeah,
want.
you
Oh,
wanted
you
to
play
play professional and stuff.
basketball.
But at the end of the day, you say, okay, part of the process of getting to a certain level, this happened along the way. You know what I mean? And
Right.
I was
Mhm.
not, I was the only one from my team that played pro. And I don't know, like it was two of us went in together. Maybe a few more will go in, but it's like, you know, it was really, and then there's other guys that made the Hall of Fame that never played pro, also. And so it's definitely something, man, that it's very high on the list of those accomplishments. And it really, I think it really hit me when I sat there and I was getting ready to do the speech, and I almost had the Jordan meme face. I made sure that I got all of that out of me before I got up there to speak, man. I didn't want to show up on the internet.
All of this transition, all of these steps in your life led to exactly where you stand right now. Because had you not excelled at Dublin, then had the opportunity at Wagner, then you don't get the opportunity to play overseas. You don't meet your wife. You don't have your kids. Do you ever take time to think about those sorts of things, about how Providence plays into getting you to this position where you are, where you've had a nice, solid career doing what you love, and you've been doing it alongside the people that you love?
Yeah, man. I remember at first I was really like caught between like to stay close to home at Georgia Southern, for example. And me and Coach Thomas, we took some trips down there. And so when they changed the coaches staff, one of the coaches continued to recruit me, even though he didn't know if he was going to have a job there anymore. And I remember going down to did an unofficial visit. I went and met the new coaching staff, and I really didn't feel no connection. And it's how it goes. Okay, he's high on the list. He's an area guy,
Right.
so we'll take him. But it's not the guy we want. You know what I mean? Because
Uh-huh.
they were coming from South or Central Florida somewhere. They never had saw anything about me or read. You know what I mean? So they didn't recruit me. They didn't gain their relationship. And you know, with Coach Wittenberg being at Georgia Tech, being familiar with me, getting a head coaching job, and instantly knowing that I can really use this guy. I said
Right.
to myself, what do I want to do after college? And I sort of let it segue me to Wagner. Basically, I said, okay, if I go to New York at the time, social media and things like that, it's not so big. So it's a smaller
Right.
college, but it's Division One. It's New York. It's the media capital of the world. So people from everywhere are going to get a chance to see me. And if I'm good, I get an opportunity. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Maybe with the big city, with the big city hype, maybe I could get into the NBA. You don't know. And then there's the connections of, and when I got up there, I really saw a different side of basketball. You go from Dublin to Atlanta, you see a different side. You see a business side of it. Then you go from Atlanta to New York, and you see it, and it's 10 times that.
Oh
And
yeah. I mean,
and then you go and you play in college, or then you go to one of those parks, or West Fourth Street, or Rucker Park, or something, and you start to see these NBA guys, and then you say, "Hold up!" And you're playing with them, and you're playing against them, and then they start to invite you to the city runs that they have at the different colleges, where it's like you got to know people to get in the gym. Or you go in and Byron Scott is watching the workouts, and he's coaching the New Jersey Nets, and they got a finals game the next day versus the Spurs. You know what I mean? Like, and then he gives you tickets, and you go to the game, and you sit behind the bench, and you get a chance to watch the game because this little thing called basketball. You know what I mean? It was
uh-huh.
really it was really I say that opened my eyes, And then you build relationship with people. Then I meet a guy and he says, "Hey, listen, I played in Israel. I got connections in Israel. I want to be an agent. I've got other connections in Europe. I want to help you out." And it became like a big brother, so to speak. A relationship
Yeah.
where we could talk about anything. And in high school, I went one year. I went like in August or July. I took a trip abroad to. They had a tournament in the Netherlands in Haarlem. Haarlem was about 25 minutes away from Amsterdam, and it was over
Mhm.
300 athletes from around the world in this tournament. And it was basketball, there was soccer, tennis, baseball, and softball. And
Wow.
and I remember playing against some guys that say, "Yeah, I play in pro club team here and this," and then they like, "Yeah, the teams they take foreigners." And that was my first sight of like international basketball. And I said, "Oh man, I could do this. I could be great." I was 16, but we played a more physical game. Like I tell people all the time in Israel, I'm happy that I played in the North first before I came to play around Tel Aviv area, because I got a chance to meet like more, I'd say more genuine people of the land. You know what I mean? That,
Right.
people that their parents maybe immigrated here, right after the Holocaust and stuff like that, and just to, they feel the heart and their passion of being here and growing here. Some of the people that maybe they don't speak another language because this is their home. You know what I mean? Or never took a
Yeah. That's
trip,
that's all they
or
know. Right.
never took a trip outside of Israel because this is their home. Why would I go to France? I'm here. I'm not speaking French and I'm not speaking English. I speak Hebrew. You know what I'm saying? Like, to learn real, like, genuine people that are still friends to this day. I think that was something too. And it was able for me to see the countryside. Like, I was 15 minutes away from Nazareth in a car, or 30 minutes driving away from the Sea of Galilee. When I first came into the country, to see all of the countryside and stuff like that. Hour and a half drive from Jerusalem. Actually, I live closer now, but when I stayed that far away, I went more, I think, than I do now. Of course, got the kids and everything like that, but
It's just crazy to me to think how everything has led up to this point where now you're getting to pass on some of that knowledge and some of that wisdom that you've gained through the game of basketball and through life, through things like these camps that you stayed in. Does that feel like a natural next step for you whenever all of this professional stuff finally comes to a sure enough close? I'm done. I'm not coming back again. Is that something that you thought about?
yeah, a lot. I mean, like, one of the things is a few years ago I had an injury in my foot, so I had to go down a level basically in my playing, um, and I started then working more with kids here. That was something I used to do in college. I used to work in different camps. I worked at Georgia Tech, University of Maryland, Seton Hall, Rutgers, all up and down the East Coast. We used to work these basketball camps. The kids, a little bit of skills in individual work, and a lot of just you know motivational stuff. Really, the kids coming to the camp, they want to play in front of Steve Francis. They want him, they want
Right.
this guy to see me. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I want to show off for him. It was, and I gained some relationships from that with some of the younger players that eventually went on to play college ball and stuff. And then a lot of times when I would come home, I'd be down at the Oconee gym. They'd have the summer leagues, and I coach one or two teams just to do something. And a lot of those guys that played, like Eric Walden,
Yeah.
Big Tawaski King, and some of them other guys like Ben and all them, they would play as well. And I'd have a team or two. Rashad Smith, I think I might have coached him once. Down, him and one of my younger cousins played together, and you. I think at that time, that's when basketball was really sort of blossoming in Dublin. More people were playing. Man, I'll tell you, that region band in 1980 that they had before we got one in 98. I remember, like, I played with Sean Wallace. His brother Anthony was in the same grade with me. Rest in peace to Sean. And we'd always play, but his uncle, Phil, was like a ghost to us. We'd hear the stories about him. I'd hear from family members and this one and that one, and he was the best, and there was nobody like Phil. And Phil, but I never met Phil. And I like I said, heard a lot about him. So he was like that barometer, so to speak, but it was like a ghost, also. And the guys that would be down at Oconee that played with him, sometimes I'd ask questions about him. We was able, we had the football, that was the thing. Football, we always had All-Americans and all-state players in football. But basketball was something that was missing, and we actually all had a love for it. And I remember we go and play, and we just play all year round. And we decided, okay, we won't play football. We'll see what we can do with basketball. And I remember when that whole AAU thing started about for me, first time I ever heard about AAU basketball was from Mignon Lindsay, Tamithia Bonner, and Ebony Long that played at West Lawrence. They all was playing an AAU program in Macon. And their mothers was telling my grandmother, yeah, maybe he should come to Macon and play. They have boys also. And then my uncle in Atlanta asked me to come up one weekend to try out for this team, the Celtics. I get to the gym, and it's over like almost 200 kids. And then I really saw another level of basketball. And then the next year I go, and the McClendons, they go also. And the kids from Wilkinson County are also there. The coach brought the whole, from 8th grade up. And you see what Wilkinson County did. And I think that sort of opened the eyes to a lot of people and a lot of parents and things like that as well, that if you really want your kid to succeed, this is the basketball side of it, Now, one of the things with Georgia, when we would come to visit, the last time I came with the kids, I think 2000 and was it 17? No, because I was injured that summer. 2016 summer I came. We were supposed to come in 17. So 2016 I came with the kids and my wife, and I took them to the parks. Actually, they got a chance to run around a little bit in the old gym over there. I maybe even picked my daughter up to the rim or something like that. But that's one of the things I do try to do with them a lot is outdoor activities, and they love it, So that's one of the things. They got a dog. We had a dog growing up, little stuff like that, But I try to keep them outdoors and doing activities. I try not to get them too much with the iPads and these telephones and all of this.
Yeah.
Of course, they they're dealing with those things because this is the way of the world. But I also try to say, okay, when we're in the house, you can play like this, but when we're outside, you don't take the phone. You don't take this, That's one of the rules with it. And just, try to enjoy the moments with them, man, whatever it is, if it's getting ice cream from McDonald's or something like that,
Man, you take care. And
okay, man.
Please don't be a stranger. If you're in town, holler at me. I'd like to hook up and go grab some food. We'll try to stay as kosher as we can in Dublin, but, we like to eat. So I can't guarantee.
Man. Yeah. All right, brother.